I started recording the episode only to realize that my microphone wasn't connected to my computer. This is the kind of day that it is today. Today is such a Sunday. I'm recording this on a Sunday. And I have a little bit of a migraine. I get migraines almost every single day, but it was a little bit worse earlier today. And so I was trying to decide, okay, do I want to lay down and rest like I probably should, or do I want to record an episode? And in reality, I could have taken a break this week and not recorded, but I feel like I've been taking a lot of breaks recently, which isn't a bad thing, but I do feel like in this case, I kind of wanted to sit down and record because I kind of wanted to just talk, like having these podcast episodes is not only helpful for the people watching them, but or at least I hope it's helpful for you guys, but it's really, really helpful for me as well because I'm able to talk through different things. I'm able to really think and take 20 minutes a week to just sit down and reflect on life and things in general. And so I really value this time too. And this is why it feels to me like it's just sitting down and talking to a friend, because that's kind of these are the type of conversations I would be having with a friend, and I do have with my friends. So I really value being able to do that and really just think through and process things in life. So here I am presenting myself. I have not done my hair today. This is straight out of bed, just wearing a sweatshirt. It's the week before finals week. I've already started studying. It's one of those weeks, right? And in terms of academics, everything's going great. I have my schedule, but I kind of forgot when making a schedule of the things I need to do to include personal life things and household things. So yesterday, I took some time to clean. That was not in my plan, but I needed to do it. And I kind of forgot to put recording an episode on my list of things to do this week. So here I am right now. And I decided, you know what, instead of taking a break this week, I want to still record. I want to still show up as I am and not have to focus too much on perfection. And that's kind of what I'm going to talk about today, which is just a coincidence because this happened to be what I had scheduled for this week. But we're meant to be unique. We're not meant to be perfect, because I think when we think of perfect, which obviously there is no real perfect that is out there, but when I at least think of perfection or what it would mean to be perfect if I was, I really end up comparing myself. Perfection to me is an accumulation of different thoughts, different comparisons, different ways that I think I should be, when in reality, we're meant to be ourselves, our true, authentic selves. So when I feel like I'm striving for perfection instead of striving to just be myself, I find that I'm comparing myself a lot more, because in a way, perfection is built up of what we see from other people's lives. Other people's lives look perfect online, and so I tend to compare myself to people online, when in reality, I'm sure they're doing the same thing with other people. Perfection is not a thing, and instead we are meant to be ourselves. We are meant to be unique. We're not meant to be that person. We're not meant to be someone else. We're meant to be ourselves. And so I'm showing up today as myself. And the other versions of me are me too, right? But there is this week where I have, not done my hair right now. And actually I'm looking at it. It's not all that bad. But I'm showing up not feeling 100% prepared for the episode. I am someone who likes to be prepared, and I'm showing up not feeling 100%, because in the reality, this is me too. That version of me in other episodes is me the majority of the time, but this is also me, and this is a version of me that I guess people don't see as often, because it doesn't happen as often, and it doesn't show up online as often. So, every single person has their unique things to bring to the table. For me, I've really been noticing recently, especially as I get to know new people around campus, around my city, as I get to see how people's perceptions of me might, show up. I've really found that I feel like people started, and I've, ever since maybe like my junior year of high school, I remember people asking me, how do you have everything so put together? Or how does your life seem so perfect? And when I first started getting that question, I was really confused because my life is not perfect in any way, shape, or form. But I was happy with it. And I think that is what people perceive as perfection. So I'm not saying, aim for it because people perceive it as perfection, but I have noticed that when I am living my life the way I want to and dedicating time towards myself and taking care of myself and being myself and figuring out the kinds of things that make me feel me, that is when I tend to get more compliments or people asking about that or about how I have everything seeming perfect. And I don't. But I notice that there seems to be a pattern there. And so I think, and this is just me brain dumping here, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I know at least in my own life, I think what we strive for is not necessarily perfection, but we interpret it as perfection. But what we really strive for is just to be content. You don't even need to be overjoyed all the time, because the reality is, like, you can't be overjoyed all the time, and sometimes life can suck. But to be content in general. And I think that's what we strive for, to be comfortable with ourselves and who we really are. And the way that I have personally seen that I am able to do that the most is when I am taking care of who I am deep down, who I'm really meant to be. Let me throw out a few examples here because I feel like it's kind of hard to grasp what I'm saying here. I'm having a hard time grasping it myself, so maybe other people are too. One thing that I did a lot of in, say, my junior or senior year of high school was realizing what perfection and confidence really means. Confidence is not thinking perfect of yourself. It is not thinking that you are the best. It is not thinking the best of yourself versus others. Confidence and being comfortable with yourself is knowing that you are not perfect and that you have flaws. I could spend so much time listing all of my flaws, but instead, knowing those flaws and deciding, choosing, putting effort towards loving yourself despite those flaws, despite the mistakes that you have made, despite the embarrassing moments, despite the times that you have failed, and despite the things that you're working on. Confidence, I want to be clear, it doesn't mean, oh, hey, I see that this is a major flaw in who I am. Maybe I'm not able to take responsibility for something, but, I'm going to love myself despite it. No, you have to take action to better those things, right? But being able to love yourself in that process. You will always make mistakes. That is something that is inevitable. You will always fail. That is inevitable. You will never be perfect. That is inevitable. But confidence, and to me, perfection, is sitting down and being very honest with yourself about those things, realizing these are the things I need to work on in terms of just in general, things like interpersonal skills and things like that. And these are the things that I have flaws in, that I'm not perfect at. And being able to recognize those and be honest about them. To me, I have noticed that the people who seem the most confident in life around me, online, the people who seem like they have their lives put together, are the people who know their flaws or who are able to be themselves. And another thing that I think is really important in that process is knowing what makes you feel comfortable and happy with who you are, knowing who you are at the core and finding a way to express that. Anyone who knows me personally will tell you that I have a very specific aesthetic in life. And it's funny to me, but it's also like, it's true. If you look at all of my stuff online too, like it's all a very specific aesthetic. And if you see me in person and see the way that I interact with people and the way that I talk and the way that I dress and everything, like it's not just for show online. That is truly who I am. And the reason why it seems so perfectly curated online is because one, I really enjoy web design and things like that, but two, because I really learned what makes me feel like me at the core, and then learned how to express that through things like visuals, photos, the way that I dress myself, all of these different things. So, like I'll be sitting in a class and people will see a photo and be like, that looks like an Alessia photo, or people will see something and be like, that fits, like even my nails. I got my nails done recently. Is it gonna focus? Oh, it's really bright because I have a light there. But I got my nails done recently, and whenever people see them, they say it's very you. It's just very Alessia. And it's true, they are, right? But I got them because I love them. I've learned to really gravitate towards the things that I love, and I happen to gravitate towards very specific things, so it ends up just kind of all flowing together very well. That's not necessarily for everyone, but my point with this entire thing is to say, like, being able to find what makes you feel the most comfortable and really being able to live that out is something that's really important. It's almost like romanticizing your life, which is a big trend always, it seems. But in reality, it's there for a reason, because having those kind of things, being able to romanticize your life, being able to do that, it's something that makes you happy. It's something that makes you feel comfortable. It's something that makes you feel just like, almost like life is this like fairy tale, right? And in a way, to do that, if you really truly think about what kind of things you're wearing, you're choosing, you've got in your household, the way that you express yourself, the conversations you have, if you really do put energy into those, that itself is kind of romanticizing your life. And it's not like I am very specific about this is what I can have in my life and this is what I can't. But I found that I just tend to gravitate towards those things. And once I started to allow myself to gravitate towards the things that I love without fear of judgment, or with fear of judgment and still making myself choose what I love, I started to feel a lot happier with who I was and the unique being that I am. Because the reality is, there is no one else out there who is exactly like you. One way to, I guess, describe that in a way, or to just put it in more tangible terms, is fashion. I will look online and I'll see a bunch of different fashion styles, and I feel like there are two specific creators that I have found that have styles similar-ish to me that when I look at their styles, I feel, yeah, that's kind of like what I gravitate towards. But the reality is, I feel like my style is kind of a mix of those two and its own thing. And I just don't feel like there's ever someone who gravitates exactly towards what I gravitate towards. And the same thing goes towards relationships, futures, thought processes, people you want to be around. Like, everyone is different. Passions, all of these things are so different. And instead of striving to be like someone else, use them as maybe a guidance, as a role model, but don't try to be them. Try to be yourself. Because when you are yourself, you will see that there is so much more to you than you ever thought was possible. And this is just me speaking from experience. And I will be clear, I do not feel like I necessarily know who I am in life. It has been years of learning, and I know that I will be learning for my entire life. No one truly knows for sure who they are, and it's something that evolves all the time. But doing your best to just stay true to yourself and really learn to understand yourself, that's what has done it for me in terms of I've been able to see a change. I've been able to see and feel that I am happy with the life that I have, with the way that I live, with the people that I surround myself by, with the things that I choose to distance myself from. For example, there are certain conversations that I will hear people having, and I choose to distance myself from that instead of becoming involved because everyone else is. There are things that can be really hard to come to terms with. And when you see everyone else doing something and you find that for you, that's not something that feels true to you, it can be really hard because it feels like there will be judgment. And sometimes there is, and maybe that means that it's time to reassess your surroundings. And, you should never be judged for who you really truly are, for loving yourself. It's not an easy process. It really seriously has taken me years to even get to a point where I feel like I am starting to really truly grasp just the surface of who I am and the person that I want to be. But it's beautiful to be able to do that, to be able to have that process is lovely. And I really think that there's not enough emphasis on the fact that you really are truly meant to be unique. You are meant to be yourself. That thing that you're ignoring about yourself, that thing that you know you love but you don't want people to know, that thing that you gravitate towards, do it. Be yourself. Be who you are. I can think of so many different examples. Clothing, for example. I spent a long time trying to be comfortable in clothing that I am not comfortable in. And now I love my outfits. I love my style. It's not always perfect. I still struggle with it, but I love what makes me feel comfortable. Another thing would maybe be jewelry. Another thing would be conversations. Another thing would be my interests and my passions. Another thing is my majors in college. Another thing, like I could give you so many different examples here. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but what is it that makes you feel excited? Excited to live, excited to learn about yourself, excited to grow in, and start doing it. Give yourself a challenge to do something every day that brings you closer to the person that you really truly are, because it is an incredible journey. And I really do think that it's something that we don't put enough emphasis on in life, in growing up, in adulthood, in any aspect of life. So start now, because it's amazing. And really, when people ask me how my life seems so put together, how my life seems so perfect, how I seem so happy, that's my answer.